Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Transformers Friday from the Toybox edition. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Transformers Universe Classics Jetfire. Let's get into it! Let's take a look at the figure and its accessories. And first up, we have these two laser blasters, and they do combine together, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And pretty much, except for being opposite sides, they're pretty much the same thing. Nice molded details on it. This side's fairly clean looking, a little bit of waffle in there on this side. And then, pretty much same thing going on for this one. You can see this one has a little indentation right here for this post. And then it's got a post right there. And then this side is pretty much the same as what we looked at there. Again, except it's the opposite side and no post at the bottom here. So, nice molded details there. Next up, we have his missile launchers. And this is the post where they connect in, and we'll get to that in a minute, the launch thing. It's got a nice red paint app on it here. And here is the missile, made out of a translucent blue plastic. At least I think it's blue. Don't make fun of handicapped people. I'm colorblind. So there, it just clicks in just like that, and works pretty good. And there are two of those. So, not bad. And here we have the thrust pack, or jet pack, or whatever you want to call it, rocket boosters. And there's several pieces to this. Here's the two posts where it connects into the plane or the robot mode, I guess. And we'll get into that in just a minute. And also, these pieces are articulated a little bit. They'll kind of, up and down this way and that way. It's kind of on a ball joint. So, and then another thing you can do with these is pull this part back, and there's a spring-loaded gun in here. And I'm afraid to let it spring forward because sometimes there's another piece on it and it just kind of pops off. As you can see, that's the part that likes to pop off. But as you can see, that's another thing that you can arm up the plane or even the robot mode. We'll get into that when we get that far. And it does have, these parts pull back, and then these parts do bend, and that's mostly for in robot mode. So let's fix these back, and we'll get to how all this goes on to the plane mode in just a minute. And then almost forgot, here's the handy dandy instruction manual. And it's Transformers Robots in Disguise, even though it's Transformers Universe. And then it's on an older kind of waxy magazine page type paper. And as you can see, it's mostly black and white. And then it's got a little bit of splash of color on it when it shows what parts you're supposed to be manipulating. And for the most part, I really like the instructions on this type of paper. because there is no bleeding, there's no degradation. And as you can see, I've had this for quite a while, and as you can see, you know, the images are still as clear as the day that I purchased them. But you might say that some on the Siege and, you know, the newer stuff. So let's take a look at the plane mode. And here we have, and it's very Jetfire looking. And that is to say Jetfire, not Skyfire. To me, this one really looks more Jetfire than Skyfire, especially in this mode once you get all the parts and stuff put on, and even in the robot mode to some degree. So as you can see, he's got the rub and reveal sticker right there. Is he an Autobot or is he a Decepticon? He's an Autobot. So we got some nice paint apps on the wings and airfoils and that kind of stuff here at the nose, around here, right here, and then not so much on the underside. We've got some right here, and I have to say, you know, this for the most part, this alt mode cleans up on the bottom pretty well. You can see some big Autobot tampos right there. Now he does have some visible hand syndrome going on there. The wheels do roll, and he does roll pretty good, I will have to say. And then, you know, due to its transformation and addition of parts, you know, this will flap up, this will flap down, and it does that on both sides. And then, of course, we've got some guns right here, and they do rotate. So, you know, just I think this is a cool little touch, and you'll see once we get to transform him, you know, what part this is, if you don't know already. But I think that was a cool addition, the way that they put these out so that they could be weapons as well. Now, as far as, you know, going ahead and arming this guy up, you can take the blaster rifles and stick them in his hand. Just pour it right in there. And you do that on both sides. There we go with that. And then you'll see the ports right here. Nice big ports right there. And that's where the missile launchers go. And they help from the side view to kind of cover the hands up a little bit. And the guns help cover the hands up from the underside view a bit as well. So, here on the top we have the ports for the jetpack, and you lay those down. And I forgot to say, there is some, you know, some of this is due to transformation and some of it's not. So, you know, like is in speedy mode and takeoff mode, you know, that kind of stuff going on there. So there we can lay that down, and here's the two posts, and they go in these kind of, I don't know, they're eye-shaped posts, and they go in reverse eye ports, I guess. So even with all the weight on him, he does still roll good. And as you can see, everything is attached like it's supposed to be. And again, you can, you know, if you want the extra armaments out, you can do that. And of course, you know, that's what it looks like with the missiles in there. And just a little bump will set those missiles off, so just something to be aware of if you are planning on getting this one. So that's how he looks that way now. From the top side, from the side, from the bottom. And of course these do all fold in, and they're not too difficult to get back out. pretty easily, in fact. So there you have it, my friends. A look at Jetfire in his alt mode. It's time for alt mode comparisons. And here we have the Transformers Universe Classics Jetfire with the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege Commander Class Jetfire. And I tried to arm them up similarly. And as you can see, there is quite a bit of size difference between them. For our last set of alt mode comparisons, here we have the Transformers Universe Classics Jetfire with the Transformers Titans Returns Legends Class Bumblebee and the Amazon exclusive Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Earthrise Leader Class Alternate Universe Optimus Prime. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the comedy portion of our program where I attempt to transform this Transformer. And as you can see, I've already removed all the extra bits and boops and bops from him because you kind of have to do that. I guess you don't have to, but it makes it a little easier. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and let's just fold in all of the landing gears. And then right here, the legs and the arms, it does tab in, and you can see there's a little port for it right there and the tab. So there's that. And then once you get that done, there's a hinge here and here. So you just kind of put that up into position, and we'll go ahead and do this on the other side as well. And some of these joints are a little stiff. So then this untabs. And you can see it's on a hinge here and here. So we'll go ahead and untab that, and it tabs in. You can see there's a post and a post, and then here's a post, or a port and a port there. And then you just pull the legs right on down. They kind of lock into place there. Then the exhaust ports you open up, those become his feet. And I think I may have skipped a step or done a step out of order. So here, oops, oh, there's a piece there. So you open this up, and then you put this down. Oh, wait, nope. You gotta split this apart first. It's been a little while since I've transformed this guy. I don't know if you can tell or not. So, you put that down. Then, this just folds this way. These two pieces go, they hinge here and here. And just kind of go up in the side there. This piece goes up, and you can see these kind of cover where there's holes there, and then you can turn his head around and straighten it up. And as you can see, this is much more of the Skyfire head. And I did forget, you do untab the legs, and you can see there's two posts and two ports there. So then you say, hey, it doesn't look quite done. It's not quite done. So again, it's hinged here and here. So this whole assembly just kind of goes up and just kind of tabs in there. And then this piece which was on him, to me, which is more the Jetfire kind of head, it's a helmet that goes on, kind of similar to the Siege part. And these are the guns in plane mode, or the antenna on the robot head. And just, oh, the wings go up. Almost forgot that part. So you can put them all the way up like that. And I think that's how they're supposed to go, yeah. Because there's actual stops where the wings are supposed to stop at. And there you have it, my friends. Jetfire all transformed. Let's take a look at the figure in his robot mode, and we'll take another look at the accessories too, because they are a little bit different on this. And as you can see during the transformation, the helmet does come off. So let's take a look at the face there. And you know, it's very Skyfire, which is what it's supposed to be. And just like the Siege version, they give you the option. You can make him Skyfire, you can make him Jetfire. So I like this one, and I like this one with the helmet on more as Jetfire. And one thing I did forget to mention, let's see. Unfortunately, I cannot find my handy dandy pen light to show you that he does have a light pip. And it does make his eyes glow, and I don't know where my light is, so I can't really show you that. But he does have that, and it does work through the helmet as well. So a lot of the paint apps and stuff we've already talked about in his alt mode. Autobot tampos, red stripes, red stripes, red stripes. Got some black up here. Nice silver for the face, and then some black for the antenna, and then a splotch of like metallic light blue right there maybe that's what it is. Translucent for the window, and that is pretty much, you know, all the paint apps. And like I said, you know, I think this one looks pretty good. Just it's not big enough. And I know they weren't really trying to do figures in scale and stuff when they were doing these guys. You know, some were bigger, some were smaller. Some of the same characters were bigger than the same character. And, you know, just things throughout the Transformers line up until more recent, when they tried to be more scale conscious. So let's talk about his articulation a little bit. So the head, he can, even with the helmet, do the full Exorcist. He can look up that high and just straight ahead mostly. No chicken neck, and just a little slight waggle there. At the shoulder, you know, if the wings weren't in the way, it would do a full 360 degree rotation, but you can do it up to the wings, and then again up to the wings. At the shoulder, comes out to approximately 90 degrees, if not right at 90 degrees. Single hinged elbow, and it does give you approximately 90 degrees worth of bend. And then right under the elbow, there's a 360 degree rotation, and then another 360 degree rotation at the wrist, and that's, you know, goes on both sides. Now at the hips, let's see what he's got. He can give you the full splits, so that's pretty good. He can kick forward, not quite 90 degrees, almost. I guess I need to put that leg down to kind of show you. And then kicking back about the same, not quite 90 degrees. Now at the knee, single hinge knee, and it gives you not quite 90 degrees worth of bend. And then there is a rotation right there under the knee, and it does give you a full 360-degree rotation. And as far as the feet go, they open and they close. There's no tilt and there is no rocker, because I think the only figures that had rockers, besides imports maybe, at the time this figure was made, was Marvel Legends, perhaps the only one. So I was fixing to say that's it, but it's not, is it? No, because we still have to look at the accessories. Again, the backpack or rocket boosters, whatever you want to call them, you know, they attach the same way, right in the same spot. So do the missile launchers. However, they're pointing in the opposite direction this time. And of course, you can put the missiles in there. And, you know, it's really meant for this configuration because it is super back heavy this way. So you let those guns out, and then these hinges right here, they bend forward, and everything wants to unsnap at that point. Now, something you can do, and it's still he's still a bit back heavy that way. So maybe he needs to lean forward just a tad, which he really doesn't do. So he's probably gonna fall there. Maybe that'll keep him steady, put him in a pose a little bit. Now you can use the guns separately and use the same post that you did in alt mode, but I don't like this open space of the weapon. So you can put them together, and as you can see, there's a post here and a port here, and you know, a line on this post and an open area on this port, so it only goes in one direction and stays that way, and it just snaps together. And as you can see, the one post, you know, and the curve and everything, so it turns into a double-barreled blaster, and you just pop that in his hand. And of course, if you want to put the missiles on him, you can do that and hope they don't blast off randomly for the carpet monster to eat. Because that carpet monster is a son of a beatus. So there you have it, my friends. There's a look at the figure and accessories in robot mode. It's time for my favorite part of a Transformers review, robot mode comparisons. And here we have the Transformers Universe Classics Jetfire with the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege Commander Class Jetfire. For our last set of robot mode comparisons, here we have the Transformers Universe Classics Jetfire with the Transformers Titans Returns Legends Class Bumblebee and the Walmart exclusive Netflix War for Cybertron Trilogy Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime. For final thoughts on the Transformers Universe Classics Jetfire, and I don't know what class it is, and I don't know why I didn't look it up, but I didn't, so I don't know what class that this was considered for back then. But my final thoughts on it are that this is a really, really good version of Jetfire. And the fact that the helmet part comes off and you can make him Skyfire if you want to is really, really cool. And predates that feature in Siege. Now, of course, the Jetfire part for either one of them, you know, couldn't 100% look like the original toy because rights issues and Robotech and all that good stuff. Macross, or I don't keep up with that brand too much, so. But you know, that's the reasons why, and I'm assuming there's rights reasons why they can't call the toy Skyfire and only, you know, he's only released in toy form as Jetfire, even though they're basically the same character. And for me, this one skews more Jetfire than the Siege version. That one actually skews more Skyfire, especially in the alt mode. And for that, I'm glad, because if I wanted to, I could actually put this guy in my Transformers display, which he's currently not in. But I could put him in there as Jetfire, and, you know, of course, I'd refer to the Siege one more as Skyfire than Jetfire. And, you know, but, you know, if you don't want to do stuff that way, or call them that way, or use these figures that way, even if you have both of them, if you do or don't, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is they're your toys. Display them how you want to, use them how you want to, call them what you want to. But you know, I like this figure. I do think it's a nice homage to the original figure, with also bringing in some new things as well. Like the fact that the rocket boosters, you know, bend in half and turn into guns, or you can use them as guns in plane mode. And you know, I like the plane mode on this one. I think it works really well. I like the robot version, or the robot mode on this one. I think it works really well as well. How many times can I say well? Well, we're gonna find out. So yeah, I really think that that this is a good figure, and you know, I'm glad that I picked him up back in the day. And I don't know, I may see if I can figure out a way to get this guy in the display. I may have to make some room, or move some Optimus Primes or something, because I think this guy, you know, I really feel like he fits in with newer stuff. And now, he might not be a large figure like Commander class Jetfire, but, you know, he's an Autobot air support guy, so this one doesn't necessarily have to be as big, because again, it can be a different version. This can be Jetfire and the other one can be Skyfire. And to me, even though they're basically the same character, they are essentially two different characters. The toy and the cartoon version of it, you know, they don't really look that much alike. You know, there's some similarities, but they're different enough. I guess rights-wise, they're two different figures. So, but there you have it, my friends. A really good version of Jetfire, even if he is on the small side for, you know, Jetfire. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I'm now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.